Roll Tide and welcome to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Coming to you from inside the Advantage Center at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm Roger Hoover. Now, please be joined by the Director of Athletics for the University of Alabama, Greg Byrne. And Greg, Roll Tide, can you believe another athletic year is coming on?
I know. Roll Tide indeed. It's good to be back in town. Kind of been all over the place this spring, but it's been a lot of highlights for this year, and obviously something and things to build on for the future as well.
And we saw a few more championships added for Alabama even just this past week.
We did. I was out at track, and Doris and Sammy in track won we both won individual national championships. Sammy in the 400 and Doris in the 3,000 steeplechase. She's going to potentially go down as one of our most decorated athletes of all time here at the University of Alabama. She's incredible. Broke her own NCAA record by 8 seconds, which some say may have been one of the best distance runs in NCAA history. So that was cool to be there and witness that. Caitlin, in the decathlon, came out and did a great job there. So exciting to see the performance of a young men and women track.
Really great to see that. And then kind of working our way backwards just a bit, the softball team once again making it to a super regional, and then baseball once again some solid wins in SEC play, and you extended the contract of head coach Rob Bond.
Yeah, 19th straight year to go to a super regional. I believe that's a record in college softball. So Murph, obviously the expectations are high, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously we want to get back to Oklahoma City. We were there the year before and go out and compete for a championship. And I know he's working hard to put the roster together for that for the future. From baseball, Rob's come in with a ton of energy, has made us continue to get us improved. Didn't have it go as well as we wanted to in the regional down at Hattiesburg. I was there in the first game against Miami, and I thought we were going to walk it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it went right to the top of the fence at center field. It could not have gone any further with staying in the park, and that would have been a great start to it, but unfortunately didn't work out. We were able to extend his contract. He has just brought such a positive attitude, energy, enthusiasm to the job, as his staff has. The culture within the program is really good. And I think there's a real bright future for our baseball program, which is great to see. And obviously, that's why we extended his contract, too.
It's really great to see that. And, of course, the success of the basketball programs. Once again, Nate Oates getting this program to an Elite Eight on the men's side. Christy Curry to the round of 32 on the women's side once again. I know you were right there with me in College Park for Sarah Ashley hitting those clutch free throws. I mean, what a year both basketball programs.
Yeah, obviously, the job that Christy Curry has done, I'll touch on that first, really incredible. Took over a challenging situation and has really, now we're in the top 20, 25 consistently. That Maryland game at Maryland, and the whole team was incredible, back and forth. How many overtimes was it? Three?
Two.
Yeah,
three.
Three overtimes, and I got done with the game, felt like I'd played, and luckily I didn't have to do that. But it was a high level basketball game. It was one of the best NCAA basketball tournament games on either side, men or women. So obviously that's become the expectation now too, and we're putting ourselves in position for that future success. Then on the men's side, get to the Elite Eight, and everybody's a little disappointed. That's a good problem to have. Obviously, the job that, and I hope if anybody quotes me in the media, they use the rest of my quote too. They don't cut it off right at that. But the job that Nate has done is absolutely incredible, and the experience for our kids, the experience for our fans. This is a place that people want to be a part of, which was exciting to see. And so, we've worked on the roster. Obviously, getting Filan to come back was a big deal, and then at the same time too, we're looking at the future. There's steel coming out of the ground next to Coleman Coliseum for a new basketball practice facility that's going to really benefit both programs, and will be an incredible addition for our department and for their programs to make sure we're having the environment where day in and day out our young people can develop at the highest levels here.
And for men's basketball, it's such a small roster, and there's so much turnover year to year. Are you amazed with the job he continues to do to put Alabama in a great position?
Yeah, I mean, you hear a lot of complaints about the transfer portal out there from coach's standpoint. Nate is he's like, it is what it is. And he said, he's told me many times, he said, I look at it as an opportunity to try to improve our roster. And so he and his staff have embraced it. Preston's done a great job helping navigate those waters for us too. It is, as we are looking ahead, hopefully the House settlement will give us an opportunity for some more stability than what we've had before in the last few years. But at the same time, too, his ability to adjust the roster and then put the people in the best position for us to have success, and he did that from the second he got here, and so that obviously makes us always very optimistic about what's ahead for our men's basketball program.
Went back and watched our interview from this time last year. We talked about the House settlement just a little bit. A lot of unknowns back then. You were getting ready for a lot of different scenarios. Just a few weeks ago, it was approved by Judge Wilkin. What can you tell our fans about some of the biggest changes that are coming with that?
Well, it's hard to believe that something that has $2.8 billion in back damages with a B, and a new basically $21 million line item for our budget is a good thing, and it actually is. I think we already saw some of the impact of it with the spring transfer portal in football, where we didn't have anybody go in the portal, which was great. It's a testimony to Coach DeBoer, his staff, our program, obviously the foundation that Coach Saban laid for us that we're always going to be fortunate for and appreciative of. And at the same time, too, the way Kalen has come in right off the bat and really has instilled, his leadership and his style into what we're doing, and kids want to be a part of that. So the House settlement gives us a number of $20.5 million a year. I'm going to get in the weeds here a little bit. Every SEC school program has committed to $2.5 million in new scholarships. Okay, that gets taken off the 20.5. So that means we have $18 million to work with in rev share, and then we as an institution decide how we will distribute that to our teams. We have taken the approach that it's based off of revenue generation. We think that's a solid approach. We think that's one that makes sense for our program. As you've heard me say many times, football is the engine that pulls the train, and at the same time, too, our two sports that turn a profit are football and men's basketball. So they will have the highest percentage of that rev share, and then we're splitting up the remaining dollars with our sports who are ticketed. So there's 4 other sports that are ticketed: softball, baseball, gymnastics, and then with women's basketball and football. I think that gets to 6, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the 6 sports that will have some type of rev share out there. I've heard all over the yard how schools are doing it. And how many sports. I know one that we compete against all the time is only doing 3 sports. I know that some schools are doing a little bit for everything. I'm not sure how much of a difference that will make at the end of the day when you just carve off a small sliver for a sport. But we have a plan, and I've told our coaches in this, it's fluid. We're doing the very best we can to make the decisions that we are with the information that we have right now. But I will personally feel, and I think our department and leadership, and we've had incredible leadership from President Bell, our trustees, to navigate these waters. We haven't done it in a vacuum, just for me sitting at my desk and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's been a collective effort. And I do think we put ourselves in a good position, not only for the individual sports, but for us as a department as a whole, to make sure we're staying healthy long term. One of the things I have been watching some of and paying attention to what else is going on out there outside of Alabama, we have tried to look at it not only as a short-term decision, but also a long-term. And the financial impacts of this are significant. And so we've tried to be very transparent with our coaches and our staff, telling them, maybe talking to them in a more direct way than we ever have before about people's P&L, profit and loss statement, and showing them where we are as a program, included assistant coaches in that, the training room, strength and conditioning, and things like that. And I've said, every one of your programs is important. We care about every one of your programs. But sometimes in the past where they've heard me say, hey, you got to watch the dollars and cents, it probably hasn't resonated as well as we need it to. So we're being more realistic with that. Now, with that said, we're fortunate. We are a program that is in much better shape than 99% of other programs out there. And what we want to do is make sure we can still say that 3, 5, 8, and 10 years down the road, not just today, and trying to find that right balance. But as I said, it is fluid, and we're going to do our very best to navigate these waters and put our entire athletic department in the best possible position, and at the same time, to create a system we think is fair based off of the revenue that's generated by the programs.
With that said as well, what's the new role of Yay Alabama?
Yeah, so Yay Alabama, we stopped calling it a collective a few years ago, and our long-term strategy, which I think is working well. It's in its infancy still, right? But we wanted to create a content and marketing site to where our fans see that there's value for being a part of it. And so, what our strengths are, maybe we don't. Maybe our strength isn't necessarily we've got 1,000 people that can write $1 million check. Okay, that may not be our strength, although we have a lot of very generous donors. So please understand that. Our strength is our width, and that we have hundreds of thousands of millions of fans, and that the reality is, as young men and young women choose where they want to go to school, and they see the strength of the Alabama brand, and that they can come here and say, I've got a stage here like none other. And then if Yay Alabama is one that our fan base is engaged with, as we are navigating the new fair market value, range of compensation are two buzzwords within NIL and what that looks like, to where you say, okay, Roger Hoover, he's on our baseball team. He's got 10,000 followers on Instagram. He's got, Snapchat of so many thousands of followers. Plus, coupling that with Yay Alabama and the brand of the University of Alabama, there can be good, legitimate NIL opportunities that pass the smell test that people will say, yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad our young men and young women have those opportunities. And so we're trying, Yay Alabama is an incredible tool to put us in position long-term for our student athletes to capitalize on the brand of Alabama, partnering that with their brand as an individual, and then with our different teams as well. So it's a small staff, and so ramping up and where we spend our time for best return on investment, but it's already making a lot of headway. We have national media now quoting Yay Alabama. When Phylon came back, we announced that through Yay Alabama. With Grubb, when we hired him, announced that through Yay Alabama. And I'll give the national media and local media too a lot of credit, because they started saying Yay Alabama broke this news. So we want our fans to feel like there's inside content. One of the things they absolutely love is when you see a coach break down film. We actually were having some discussions earlier today about ideas to not only have the coach break down film, but have the student athletes help in that process and talk about the experience of a play in whatever sport it is. That's behind the curtain that people don't normally get. We'll try to continue to have exclusive content through there that people will say, hey, this is pretty cool.
I know you're always proud of your staff. I've been to some of the all-staff meetings you have in athletics, but especially everyone that really helped you get organized for what post-house settlement, what NIL is going to look like in the future. Some schools may be waffling or trying to figure out a strategy right now, but you've seemed pretty confident in the strategy that's been formed. Just how proud are you of the staff to get to this point?
I mean, heck, it doesn't take long to figure out that it's not hard for me to hire people that are smarter than me. And that's one of the things I've tried to focus on when we hire people. And right now, for instance, we're trying to reduce staff where we can. We're down about 14 positions as a department. And so you want to make sure, as I tell our staff, I don't say it's my staff, it's our staff. We work together. Now the buck stops somewhere. I understand that. But you want to hire people who are committed to student athletes and here to serve them, here to serve our university, and here to serve our fans. Those are the three things that we have to have. In order for all this to work. And we've got really good, humble people in their positions. I look for that in head coaches too. When we hire head coaches, I want people who are confident in their abilities as a coach, but also have a level of humility in their approach to it that I think a young man or young woman and their families will say, hey, that's somebody I can identify with. That's somebody that I would want my son or daughter to be coached by. And so we've got a lot of good people on our staff, both our coaches and our staff. And we spent a lot of time leading up to the House settlement working on this. We started talking to our coaches about it 2.5 years ago or so, and said, and I've said this publicly. I did an interview with Dan Wetzel the other day from ESPN, and I told him, I said, this is my opinion. I think in the history of college sports, the three most significant things was the start of the NCAA. Teddy Roosevelt was the president. President Roosevelt. People were dying playing football. And so President Roosevelt basically put pressure on to create a governing body, which ended up being the NCAA. The second most significant thing is the adoption and implementation of Title IX in the 1972. And then, and that obviously that evolution over to where the opportunities and the level of excitement for women's sports is at an all-time high, which is wonderful. And then the third thing is the House settlement. I think those are the three most significant things in the history of college sports. And that third thing, the House settlement, it's amazing how many people still really don't know a whole lot about it. And so we've tried early on to educate our staff, and we've done our best to try to educate our fan base too. I know that's not quite as sexy and as entertaining as a ball game as it shouldn't be, but I do think the impact that it makes on what we're doing, it was important to try to communicate about it.
Speaking of hiring good coaches, tell us about the new leader of the rowing program. He just wrapped up a coaching search.
Yeah, Kamari Lewis, we just hired her. She was an assistant coach at Penn. She's energetic. She had a really good plan, great history. She rowed in college, then has been coaching, coming up through the club ranks to being, at University of Pennsylvania. And their program in the Ivy League is a really good rowing league. Besides, I think they do some academics too there. They have, when they took it over at Penn, it was, it was struggling a little bit, and they've really had great growth as a program. And so we really thought she was somebody that was on her way up in the coaching profession, and excited to have her and her family here, being part of the University of Alabama.
Speaking of the University of Alabama, leadership change. Dr. Bell retiring, and now Dr. Peter Millar also just announced this week.
Moeller.
Yes,
yeah, there we go. That's
not
the clothing.
Like the shirt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dr. Moeller coming into the University of Alabama. Have you gotten a chance to interact with him much? I know you're also very appreciative for everything Dr. Bell's done.
Yeah. First with Dr. Bell, he's been a great president and very supportive of our athletic department. Just a selfless leader, really low ego, worked his tail off. He and Susan both gave everything they had to the University of Alabama. So we will miss them. And at the same time, too, Dr. Moeller, he told me to call him Peter. I said I didn't even say his name when he said it, because I Zoomed with him yesterday morning. I was actually in the Portland, Oregon airport, coming back from a meeting out at Nike, and so we met via Zoom yesterday. And I said, Dr. Moeller, I grew up on university campuses. If I would have called the president by their first name, my parents would have slapped me back upside the head. Now, not literally, but I would have gotten the wrath if I would have called the president by their first name. I said, so that's still ingrained in me, and when I'm 53 years old. And he said, no, it's what you have to do. So I said, I'll work on it. I was really impressed by him. Gene Smith, the longtime AD at Ohio State, a longtime friend of mine. Ross Bjork, who's now the AD at Ohio State, both of them within an hour communicated to me about him, saying, you and your athletic department and the university and community will love him. And I spent about a half hour with him yesterday. Couldn't have been more impressed. He certainly understands and appreciates the importance of what athletics is at our university. And at the same time, too, he's got an incredible academic background that I think the faculty will very much appreciate, and will have a great impact on what we're able to do for our student body as well. So excited to see his leadership, and looking forward to working with him, and we'll do everything we can to support him in his role.
We're excited that fall sports are just around the corner. Football specifically, what has you most excited about football season?
Well, interesting line to say, but like what I mentioned earlier, we were the only SEC program that didn't have anybody go in the transfer portal in the spring. My office overlooks our practice fields, and so I can be on a call, I could be in a meeting, I can have a quick break and jump outside and look. The kids are doing really well, and then I work out in the morning in the weight room, and it's early, and that's when our workouts start. You talk to Dave Ballou, our strength coach, guys aren't late for anything at all, which I don't care where you are, who your coach is, sometimes somebody will have something, right? And the energy that they are bringing each and every day, I'm really pleased with. And so I like the confidence that I'm seeing from being around our team. And so I think there's an opportunity to go out, and obviously we got our hands full with our very first game at Florida State to start the year. Got a very challenging schedule across the entire year, but I'm really excited to see what will come out of our football program in year 2 with Coach DeBoer, and it's been great to see the staff working so well together. We got official visits now in June, and I've been meeting with a lot of the recruits, and we'll be at their breakfast on Friday this week. And it's really good. People are excited about the future of Alabama football.
It's just around the corner. Well, Greg, we know you're very busy this time of the year. Just thank you for the time you've given us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Look forward to catching up with you again in the future, but enjoy what's coming up this summer, as much of a deep breath as you can take, and we look forward to catching up with you.
I appreciate it. Just we appreciate all of our fans, the support they continue to give us. I know when we go down to Tallahassee, I know it's an afternoon kick down there, so it may be a little warm, but I know we'll be there in force, and we just really do appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you, Greg.
Roll Tide.